This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Win Leeds ahead of Lara Warrington 2. Well, it was a pleasant surprise. Rocked up here today. We'll come into why he's here. Mr. Enzo Maccarinelli. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. How are you, Cools?
All good, all good. Yeah, enjoying life at the moment?
Yeah, it's not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Just chilling. Doing bits and bobs, bit of property, training certain pro fighters. Yeah, good.
Now, obviously the reason why predominantly you're here is because of you've been doing a little bit of work with Ebony who's in action here. I think she's kind of taken Leeds by storm without actually fighting in Leeds. Obviously she came out a little while ago, or a few months ago, and kind of declared her love for the football club, and once you do that, you're kind of one of Leeds' own.
Yeah, it's. I asked her about that. I said, why Leeds? And she hit the nail on the head when she was younger. She used to play soccer. I think she used to play at a good level as well. I couldn't really call this soccer then, it's football. She used to play football at a good level. And I think Leeds had a big Australian players. I think Harry Kewell, Mark Viduka. I think there was a couple of others. So I think she wanted to get into supporting a team. She's going to support a team where her fellow Aussies played for. And to be honest, she picked a great team because she's had such great following off it.
Now, let's talk about Ebony. Obviously, last time out she was victorious against Beck Connolly, but obviously coming off the back of the world title loss to Shannon Courtney. But you've been working with her in the gym, and kind of we don't see too much footage of Ebony training, to be honest with you. I think we see a couple of like a few seconds of her that she puts out, but ultimately I don't really think she puts out kind of long-winded training clips of herself. So as British fight fans, we've only really seen a real little amount of her as a fighter. But what do you see in the ring when she's training?
Well, I'll be honest, mate. Most people see her networking, see her on her socials. She's on it constantly. She's got it. Good team, no? So, she's networking, she's constantly doing things for herself. But in the gym, she works just as hard. I was quite shocked. I didn't think a girl could work that hard. I don't know if I've been a bit chauvinist, I don't know, but I didn't think she could work that hard. She has an ability to strive for perfection, to get things right. She wants to do everything right. And I've just been impressed. Her work ethic, her willingness to learn, and her punch power for a girl is ridiculous. I will be honest, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think people listening to your comments now should just take it what you're saying and not start. I understand what you're saying, whether it's politically correct to use them terms, but I think I'd think the same thing as well. I mean, we have to kind of assess what we're used to seeing in boxing from a male side to a female side. So if you're saying that with the experience you've got, then yeah.
Mate, I'm shocked. I've been picking her up in the morning, 7 o'clock. She's not used to the early mornings, but because it was my way, she wanted to do it that way. 7 o'clock in the morning, down the gym, training, go train again in boxing later on. And everything I tell her, everything I try, and she just listens. She listens. She does ask a lot of questions. She asks why. The thing with Ebony, when you tell her something, she wants to know why. She wants to know how the mechanics work. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. She likes to get everything right. But with me training Ebony, I only had 3 weeks with her. Brian Cohen's a trainer. I didn't want to go too far from what he's done because he's done an exceptional job with her. I was just doing it as a favour. So for me, I just worked on little things which I think would benefit her. Her being a puncher, being an aggressive fighter, pretty much like myself. And I just tried to instill a few things in her where it would work for me, and I'm sure it would work for her, and it has been working for her.
Well, she's definitely taken kind of, all the fans in the UK have definitely taken a shine to her, especially in Leeds. And like I said, she's not even fought here yet, so she's a definite character. She can definitely fight. We spoke about this earlier on, regardless of kind of her social media, etc., in how she markets herself. This girl can really fight.
Yeah, she can really fight. I've been speaking to Ebony on Twitter for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and I guarantee you, like 5 o'clock in the morning, watching a fight, no matter who it is, I put a tweet out. She's the first one. She's coming back, so she had good knowledge of boxing anyway, and her biggest fighters that she likes to watch with the Mexicans, and I think that's why she's got her style. She likes Mexican boxing, likes the Chavez, the Barreras. So, but it's sort of about what Brian has done with her. He sorted the footwork out, he sorted the head movement out. I put a little bit of my into her as well, and she's looking good. She's fit, she's strong. She's come off that cracking knockout with Beth Connolly, which not a lot of people seen coming. And for me, when she knocked Beth Connolly out, it wasn't so much the punch power, it was the setup. She set it up from the first round. She knew Connolly would make a reaction for every shot that she threw. So from the first round, she was jamming at the body, jamming at the chest, jamming at the head. And when she seen the opportunity, one shot is all it took.
Well, it's just the start of fight week here. Obviously, there's, I think she's doing a lot of media stuff here today. But yeah, normal fight week kind of stuff that you've been used to all the way through your career anyway. But yeah, just coming on to you now, Enzo. You kind of give us a brief outline of what's been going on, but I'm sure you've been asked questions on whether it's social media or whether people come up to you in the street and ask you whether in the midst of certain fighters coming back in these kind of exhibitions, etc., or just making comebacks in general, is it something that's played on your mind or you've contemplated?
Oh, it massively played on my mind. I sort of, 3 years ago, I suffered with a herniated disc. I couldn't walk for a year and a half, and I sort of set myself a goal to get myself in the best sort of shape I can, a fight shape, and fight again. And that kept me going through my depressing times of not being able to walk, not being able to sit properly. It just got me through it. Get through it, start feeling good again, start increasing my running time, start punch. Then I pick up another injury, get over that, I come back. So I don't know, something's telling me not to. I still want to, 100% want to, but something's telling me not to. And it's a pity, but I'm not going to do it unless I'm 100%. And I always said, if I can't get the certain sort of times and the punch output and the power that I've always had, I've been sparring, I've been feeling great in sparring, I've been sparring some really good boys, and finding it quite comfortable, to be honest. But with the injuries, if I can't be 100%, I won't do it. So fingers crossed, but I don't know.
Okay, so let's just talk hypothetically, Enzo. Are we talking about, like, because I think there is two ways. I was talking to Tony Bellew about this recently. He said, a fight's a fight. Forget all this exhibition stuff. A fight's a fight, whether they're having an exhibition or not. But I think if you're going in with the mentality that you want to make an actual return to the ring, that's one thing. If you want to do what some of these guys like De La Hoya's doing next month, that Mike Tyson's done, and these kind of exhibition type fights, I think it's a different mindset, isn't it, to where you are. So what is it with you?
It'd be a proper fight. It'd be a proper fight. And a touch on that, you talk about the De La Hoya fight, that's a good fight. I don't know if you know this Vitor Belfort, but that's a good fight. He was a boxer in the Brazilian Olympic amateur team, knockout artist. That's a risky fight. I think the problem you've got with these exhibitions, with the likes of Floyd carrying people, I think that's where it actually shows it's an exhibition. I think, with the Logan Paul thing we call, imagine him with Canelo, imagine him with Manny Pacquiao. They smelling blood. It puts an end to it straight away. And I think people are just cottoned on. And a lot of people ask me about Jake Paul and is he good for boxing? He's bringing eyes on the sport. And, not boxing fans watching him, the YouTube fans. But then if we've got proper boxers on the undercard, these YouTube fans are seeing these boxers on the undercard. They're making good money. But it is what it is. And, I always said, you've got to admire what he's doing. He's hustling, he's hit the market. And it can only happen in boxing.
Absolutely. I think it is a changing world. We don't know, in boxing especially, we don't know how long it's going to last for, but we know that there's an audience for it. And when there's an audience for something, it will more than likely continue to go, because, the numbers that these guys are doing because of their own social medias, including Jake Paul. Someone said to me the other day, is Jake Paul actually currently the biggest name in boxing? In terms of profile, it's possibly could be true. Look, we know Canelo's kind of on a boxing scale the biggest star, but have more people in the world heard of Canelo over Jake Paul? I'm just talking about from a profile point of view.
You're totally right. If you look at, I don't really look at his Instagram following, his YouTube videos and stuff like that, but he's got millions and millions of followers. And when he fights, he fought a UFC fight that, which everyone said was washed up. He fought someone who hadn't fought for 4 years. He've had 4 fights. That was his 4th fight against not one boxer. but yeah, he packed out a 20,000 arena and sold ridiculous amounts of pay-per-view. I'm sure he could have sold a lot more, but most of his fans are internet junkies, so I'm sure they streamed a lot of stuff as well. But like you said, as a profile, more people would know Jake Paul than Canelo, which is the boxing fans obviously know Canelo, but the boxing fans know Jake Paul because of what he's doing as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would want to point out, I'm not putting or mentioning Canelo in the same breath in a boxing term as Jake Paul, because I do find that kind of, it's not disrespectful, it is and it isn't. It's because Canelo is, in many people's eyes, pound for pound number one.
He's probably the face of boxing, whether you like him or not, and he is that good. You can't fault that. And Jake Paul is not that good, but his YouTube fans, those millions and millions, probably half of them are new to Canelo. But I'm telling you, majority of Canelo's boxing fans and our boxing fans, they've heard of Jake Paul because they're all slagging Jake Paul off. So he's hitting two markets. He's hitting the markets where the boxing fans can't stand him, so want to see him get knocked out. But then you've got his fans who want to see him win. So he's just a businessman. And what I say to someone the other day, hate the game, not the player. You know, you've got to admire his hustle. He's hit the market. He can make money. I'm hearing, I don't know how much of it is true, but I'm hearing he's give up some of his purse to give fighters on the card extra, where he's having a big riff with Dana White over paying UFC fighters. So I don't know whether he's trying to do something with that. But he's bringing eyes on these fighters. Dubois, Serrano, I think, had the best payday ever. She had more eyes on her than she've ever had, and it's because of him. So you've got to admire his hustle and not sort of be jealous.
Yeah, again, just to clarify, we're talking about profile versus profile in terms of, you know, reach and audience as opposed to capabilities in the ring.
This is the problem though, Cool. You've got to explain everything because someone's going to jump on it.
Why are you mentioning Canelo with Jake Paul? I'm just saying from a profile point of view, that's what we're comparing. Yeah. We're not comparing them in the ring. Come on, let's have it right. We're not doing that.
You've got a death in your hands. If you want to compare them in a ring, you've got a death in your hands within 30 seconds, a minute, however long Canelo wants to take it. And, you know, you see Jake Paul's hit list and Canelo's on there. You know, Canelo would take that for a laugh and a heartbeat because he knows how easy that would be. He'd be, you know, it would just be so simple for him. It'd be so simple for the majority of top boxers, mid-level boxers. Even, you know, I seen Jody McHaley, the British journeyman, you know, crazy guy. You know, if he really wanted to come out of retirement with all his losses, he could do something to beat Jake Paul quite comfortably because he knows his way around the ring. He knows the way to fight. He knows how to mess people around. And Jake Paul, you know, he's not boxing boxers. But then you've got his fan base who call him a 4-0 undefeated pro boxer. And is he a pro boxer? I don't know. Is he having the MRI scans? Is he having the full medicals? Is he licensed by the state he's fighting in? I don't know, but he's technically a 4-0 pro boxer.
I think the point to this is that we're talking about him. Look, me and you, we could be talking about a lot of things in boxing right now. AJ's fighting soon, Fury Wilder's happening soon. Me and you are sat here talking about Jake Paul.
And that's what he's done. And this is what we're saying about profile. Because us boxing fans who will stay up in a minute. Don't get me wrong, I didn't stay up to watch our fight. That's all I watched on YouTube in the morning. I did watch on YouTube, but because I heard he got wobbled, I watched it. And I don't actually think it was a wobble either. But you know, I'd get up 4 o'clock in the morning and watch a Canelo fight. I'd get up 4 o'clock in the morning and watch Terence Crawford, Spence, Mickey Garcia, Roman Gonzalez, any of them. I'd get up early hours of the morning. I wouldn't get up for him because I'm a boxing fan. I don't see that as boxing. But we're talking about him. We know who he is. We know he is because we can't stand him because most people can't stand him for what he's doing because they think he's making a mockery of boxing. But my argument is he's not targeting boxing fans. He's targeting his fans. His fans want to see him fight. His fans got this thing that he's going to be a world champion. And you know, I've seen some rumours it'd be easy for him to write management. No, it wouldn't at all. It wouldn't at all. You know, we'll see like the heavyweight, Berbatov, Bivol. All right, yeah, fair enough.
I mean, the only way I would say that this is even a possibility in boxing, you never rule anything out. I'll rule that out. I'll rule that out. If he was to set on a path with a specific governing body, then this is the only way this could happen, right? So I'm not going to, whoever, it could be any of the governing bodies. and he was getting.
WBA, you looking at, didn't he? You are going for the WBA.
All right. Let's just say that. Right, let's say the WBA for example. Right, so he's ranked. He gets himself ranked, yeah, and he continues to get himself ranked by however. I mean, you're talking still like top 10 in that governing body, which would be very difficult to do. A vacant title against someone within the top 10 of the whatever organisation. It's not. Well, look.
He's not beating any of them. Unless one of them struggling with their mortgage, because people don't realise boxers don't get paid that great. If you're the top, you get paid all right. If you're the superstar, you get paid great. If you're in the top 10 without the title, you're not getting paid a lot. So if he wants to come in and chuck them a little bunk to pay their mortgage, you never know. But that is the only way he's beating a top 10 fighter.
Enzo, I'm not saying that this is ever going to happen. I'm saying the only way it happens is if he starts having fights with people that are ranked and somehow managed to get himself into contention and was picked as a number 9 or a 10 or something. That's the only way it happens, I'm just saying.
And then I'd never watch boxing ever again. If you were right,
are you telling me that that's impossible to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible unless some guy ranked 295, the WBA take a bung, ranks him in the top 8. That's the only way. But he is not beating anyone in the top 50. He's not beating anyone in the top 100.
All right. So all I'll say to this, you must have looked at some point over the last however many years you've been involved in boxing. You must have looked at the top 10 or 15 of a governing body, yeah? And you must have thought, how the fuck are they in there? How is he ranked ahead of him? Or how is he even in the top 10? You must have thought that. Have you ever thought that?
I 100% have thought that. Yeah, but we talk in boxers, you know. He's got you see you see boxers ranked in the top 10, 22-0. We talked about this earlier. 22-0, 22 knockouts, and the casual fan would say, "Oh my God, he's got 22 fights, 22 wins, 22 knockouts." You look at his 22 opponents, them 22 opponents, I've got 10 wins between them. So I don't know which way them rankings work. But for Jake Paul to do that, he'd have to have 22 fights, 22 wins, or should we say 15 fights, 15 wins, because there's a lot in the top 10 now with 14, 15 fights. He'd have to do that against 15 boxers. You know, he's not going to get a rank fighting Tyron Woodley, who won 44 years.
Correct.
He's not going to do that against Ben Askren, who's got the worst hands you've ever seen in any MMA artist. You know, a lot more. I love MMA. I love UFC. I used to love the Pride Days. I love Cage Warriors. I watch it all. These boys learn striking. They learn boxing. They go to boxing gyms. They learn. Ben Askren had never punched a bag. That's the way he looked like. Ben Askren had never even punched a bag. And but then people thought because he was an MMA fighter, he'd actually beat Jake Paul. Who let's be honest, he's no boxer, but he does train boxing. He have worked hard. He got a good coach in BJ Flores, and he's worked hard for 18 months. So you have someone who's worked hard, who's quite athletic, which he is, fighting someone who, shall we say, looks like Humpty Dumpty, jump in a ring, can't hold his hands up, can't throw a jab, can't throw a right hand. He's going to win. And a lot of MMA fans, you're laughing at the Humpty Dumpty one.
No.
But
in general, sorry, go on.
So, you know, you've got these fans who are, because he's an MMA fan, because he won titles in MMA, because he had a good undefeated record before he went to the UFC, they actually thought he was going to win. And we had the same case with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Why didn't that sell? That sold because MMA fans thought Conor McGregor was the hardest puncher, best mover, and give Floyd Mayweather more angles than he'd ever seen in his life. We all know I was a pile of shit. We all knew that Floyd could do what he wanted. And in all honesty, if Floyd went in a cage, Conor McGregor could do what he wanted. They're different sports. But because the market was there, because they thought Conor McGregor was this amazing striker, he was heavier than Floyd, the fight sold. And I saw his fight with Jake Paul. But I think with Jake Paul at the moment, you could sell a fight, which he has, against a basketball player. And this is what we talk about profile. His fans just want to see him.
Let me ask you another question.
You always have a laugh when I'm doing this.
What?
You always have a laugh when I'm doing this.
Enzo, let me ask you. And by the way, my comments here are not. This is not what I think will happen. I'm just asking you the question, just so people don't like. Oh, what are you on about? Are you telling me it is impossible that Jake Paul gets ranked at some point, whether it's in 8 fights, 9 fights, how many fights, if he starts fighting boxers, it's impossible for him to be ranked within the top 15 of a governing body? Are you saying that's impossible?
See it again.
Is it impossible for Jake Paul, not at the moment, he's had 4 fights, hasn't fought a boxer. Say if he gets to like a 15-0 and he's fighting boxers, are you saying it's impossible for Jake Paul to be ranked within top 15 of a governing body? One of the 4 main governing bodies.
Say the governing body, you mean? I know
Whoever. No. I'm not naming any governing bodies. I'm saying, are you saying that's impossible to happen?
If you have 15 boxers, fuck, it's killing me. This is cooks. No, it's not impossible. And
okay, but that's all I wanted to know.
What I will say is impossible. He's not beating 15 boxers.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
you are right.
He could put himself in a situation. He's a clever person, right?
Yeah.
If he's got the right people behind him, he could manoeuvre himself where he was ranked within a governing body's top 15 or top 10, maybe not, top 15, possibly. So, in actual fact, then, could he not then get picked as a voluntary defence for someone? I'm talking absolute madness here, but...
And if we want to go absolute madness, if he gets ranked in the 5th, it's not impossible. The way you describe it, it's not impossible. I'd be fucking gutted if it happened, but it's not impossible. If he's in the top 15, and Arthur Berbatiev says, oh, wait there now, look at the money I could make by decapitating him. Yeah, it could happen.
That's him fighting for a world title, not necessarily winning it, obviously. Okay. All right, I'm getting like completely gassed by all this talk at the moment, and I'm just trying to say it's not in boxing. What my whole point to this is, in boxing, that 4 or 5 years ago, before Mayweather and McGregor happened, would you ever think that you'd ever see those two having a fight in a boxing ring? No. Would you ever think you'd see Logan Paul fight Mayweather in an exhibition? No. I'm just saying in boxing, nothing's impossible. It's different to what we're talking about. I'm saying in general, in boxing, I wouldn't say anything, rule anything out.
I would never have ruled out something like McGregor and Mayweather, only because the star status of the two of them. You could always see that. It's been talks for years who'd win MMA against boxers, so I could see that. But with Jake Paul, I see the way you're coming across, and I see the way there's a possibility. I just don't think it would happen.
I mean, I doubt it will happen. I'm just saying in boxing, it's never impossible. While we're talking about it, I can't believe we spoke for 23 minutes and we haven't commented on someone who's actually fighting, someone you know well, is fighting on the De La Hoya card in LA next week. David Haye, who's making a return to the ring against his friend, Joe Fournier. Your thoughts on that?
To be honest, I don't really know. It is what it is. It's going to be an exhibition. I think it's going to be Fournier might lend David some of his billions just to keep him up. And but it is what it is. And you know, I will watch, not for the Haye Fournier. I just think De La Hoya Belfort's interesting because I think Belfort's a real fighter. I don't know whether they've got some sort of plan. I don't know, but I probably will watch the show.
But you have no thoughts whether he should be doing it or shouldn't be doing it. It's just if he wants to do it, then fair enough.
Who's that, David?
Yeah.
Well, apparently he's having more money than he had to fight Bellew, so 100% he should be doing it. You know, can't fault him, can't knock him. You know, his mate's a billionaire, so he's got the money, so you never know.
Would you take that as an exhibition or a real fight?
Ooh. I'll be honest, if someone come up and I was in, like I told you, before an injury and stuff like that, where 100%, I think the market would still be there. I think people would like to see that again, and you know, nice to get back in the ring. But like I said too, if I wanted to do it, I wanted to do it properly. And for me, I've just got to be 100%. You know, so I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I've trained like I've been 20 again. I've been up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running, been gym, sparring, just actually got myself in 40 years of age, 41 now, but 40 years of age. I've best shape I've been in for 10 years, most mentally stable I've been for 10 years. But then something keeps happening to me, keeps setting me back. But if I am going to come back, I don't even, I'm never going to make a run again. I know that. I'm not stupid to think that. And, I'm still confident I can knock out any man on this planet. I still think I hit that hard, but I don't think the time is as good as it used to be. I don't think the sort of the movement is going to be there as good as it was. It's still there because I've been sparring some good boys, but it's not. Let's put it this way: I'm not as good as I was in my prime. I'm not as good as I was when I was world champion. I'm certainly better than I was when I knocked out over Mackenzie. So, but unless I'm 100%, because it's been littered in my career of going into fights. I know everyone has injuries, but I've gone into fights less than 50%, and you know some of them. So unless I'm actually 100%, I won't do it.
Okay, it's interesting because I've always, when you're talking about that, all I was thinking is, would you do it because there's something kind of like a void there that you want to fill, or is there an opponent? That's why I mentioned Haye, because in my head I think to myself, well, kind of however many years on, is it something you'd want to avenge? What's the motive for wanting to do it?
It was just something there, and I lost my last fight, and it was not because I lost. I wanted to do it again. It was the reasons behind it. It's like I just didn't take it serious. No, I say I didn't take it serious. It was like I got in the ring, I caught him with the left hook to the body, I hurt him, straight away popped in my head. I'll be able to take my boy to his football tournament in the morning. What am I doing thinking of that in the night, in the middle of a fight? So for me, I just know I didn't take things seriously. I didn't do things right, and I had 50 amateur fights. I got 49 pro fights. I think I still got the highest knockout record in Britain at the moment. So I'd like to finish on 50 as well. But if I can't, I can't. Love to if I can. But if I can't, I can't. I'm sure I do. I run an amateur club, as I said earlier. I wouldn't mind training more pros as well. So, I'll always have something to do. But it is a void. It is something eating away at me that I need to do it. But I won't be stupid. So if I'm not at my best, I won't do it.
Okay. Well, Enzo, this has been an interesting 28 minutes we've sat here for. I didn't realise it had actually gone on for that long. But appreciate your time. And I think in kind of from what you're telling me, whatever happens, happens. Obviously, you look like you're in very good shape at the moment. So if it happens, it happens. For some reason it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of boxers, people don't realise when you're at the top, when you're at that sort of level and you've got a crowd chanting your name and things like that, and you just stop, it's hard. It's just hard to deal with, and I've been dealing with it for the last 5 years, and I finally come to terms now that if it doesn't, it doesn't. But those last 5 years, it's just ate me, and it's all I wanted, and I've sort of fully focused on doing that. I put all myself, all my spirits, all my good energy I put into getting myself ready for that one last one. And to be honest, I wanted a couple, but I only wanted a couple of meaningful fights, but fun fights. Fun fights where people would get behind. But I've just come to the terms now that all these injuries I'm picking up and things like that, and if I can't get in 100%, at least I still got something to do. And I think there's a lot of fighters, they finish abruptly and they just got nothing to do, and a lot of them turn to drink and they turn to whatever. I don't drink, I don't smoke, so I keep myself healthy. So I'll always have something to do. You might see me next year crying that I never had it though.
Oh, Enzo, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. We'll obviously be good actually to get grab a word with you and Ebony together actually to find out kind of got your side of it. I haven't spoke to you about to her about you, so it'd be good to actually get you to talking about her time in Wales and kind of training. Yeah.
Try taking her down, Goose. Try taking her down. She's
very difficult, but hopefully in an hour I am going to do something with her, so if you're around I would like to actually just get a few words for you together, but I appreciate your time.
Top man.
And we'll catch up in the week again, mate.
Top man, cheers, Goose.